Let's review some of the most basic shortcuts that you can use in Microsoft Word. Now, if you're using a different word processor, then the commands may be slightly different, but on the whole they should be fairly similar. We've used some fake Latin text here just to indicate what's going on, but you should really experiment with this yourself and try out all these commands if you haven't used them before. So the first one we're going to look at is Ctrl N, which is going to open a new document. And we don't want that, of course, at this point, but it's a useful command. You can also press Ctrl S, which is going to save the work that you've done. And some people become really obsessive about this and are pressing this constantly once they learn about it. You can press Ctrl P, which is going to bring up the print screen once it actually loads here. So there's our print screen, and you can follow the options there. If you want to navigate your document, you can of course use the arrows as well as the mouse. And if you press Control using the arrows, then you can go entire words at a time, or you can jump down to the start of each new paragraph, and that's fairly useful as well. If you're in the middle of a line, you can press Home, which brings you to the beginning of the line, or End, which is going to move you to the end of the line. And one thing that's pretty cool is if you press Control plus Home, you're going to go all the way to the beginning of your document, and Control plus End is going to take you all the way to the end of your document. So that can be a fairly fast way of moving around rather than scrolling all the way up or down. As you can see, that takes a little bit longer. If you want to find something in your document, just press Control and F, and that will bring up the navigation window. And you can search for stuff. So if you're going to search for a few letters or words, you can do that, and then it will highlight it in your text. Okay. You can also select all the text in your document. So if you press Ctrl A, it's going to select everything, and that's especially useful if you want to standardize all the formatting all at once. You can do that here. You can also select something smaller and make some changes there as well. So if you wanted to edit the text and change it, you can use Ctrl B to make it bold, Ctrl I to turn it into italics, and Ctrl U to make it underlined. And there we go. If you want to delete things, you can of course press Backspace, and you can also press Delete to delete things that are in front of the cursor. If you press Control and Delete, then you're going to delete entire words all at a time, which can be quite useful and might speed up the process a little bit at times. And the same thing will happen for Backspace. So Control Backspace is going to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. If you didn't like changes that you've made and you want to bring them back, you can press Control Z, or Z if you're American. So here we go, we're going to bring some things back, and you can also go in the opposite direction. So let's say that you deleted something and you did want it after all, you can press Control Y, and that's going to redo the command that you've already done. If this was real Latin and you were able to read it, it would be quite a mess by now. Okay, the last thing we'll talk about briefly is how to move text around in your document. So if you want to take text and copy it or paste it, what you do is, first of all, you can press Ctrl X, and that will cut the text entirely, and then you can paste it with Ctrl V. So there we go. Or if you do want to keep the text and you want to copy it somewhere else, then you press Ctrl C, and then wherever you want to paste it, you press Ctrl V. And notice that there's this little box that comes up here, and if you click down on this, you can adjust the formatting as you like. Okay, so you can change the formatting, you can keep the original formatting, and so on. So those are some of the essential shortcuts that every writer should know, and we're going to talk also in a different movie about some advanced shortcuts, and some of them are pretty cool, so stay tuned for that.